Good morning. This is Pastor Matthew Tucker. I pastor the Gordon Heights Baptist Church in Concord, North Carolina. Thank you for coming to us this morning on your morning minute meditation. I'd like to call your attention to one verse of Scripture this morning out of 1 Samuel chapter number 18. In 1 Samuel chapter number 18, verse number 14 is the third or the fourth times that the Bible gives us the testimony of David here in this text. Let's read this verse together. 1 Samuel chapter 18, verse number 14. And David behaved himself wisely in all his ways, and the Lord was with him. Of course, we know the testimony of King David. He served Israel for 40 years and was known as known as the greatest king in Israel's history. Acts chapter number 22, we know the testimony of King David is that he's a man after God's own heart. And so as we look at the life of King David here in the text, this is actually before he became the king. In our text, you'll notice in chapter 16 that David was a shepherd. Chapter number 17 is the most famous chapter concerning David's life, is where he defeats the giant Goliath. So he's a shepherd in 16. He's a soldier in chapter 17. But it's very interesting when you come to chapter number 18 that David is a servant. Now, we have a handful of things we could say about King David's life, little David's life in this text, but I want you to notice that 3 times in the book of 1 Samuel chapter 18, the Bible tells us that Saul was afraid of David. You'll notice in verse 12, verse 15, and verse number 29 of our chapter that the Bible makes it plain and clear that Saul was afraid of David. It was not David's fold that Saul was scared of. It was not David's fighting that Saul was scared of. But my friends, this morning, as you look at 1 Samuel chapter 18, you find that it was David's faith that made Saul afraid of him. So I want to encourage you, child of God, it does make a difference on how you conduct yourself in this Christian life. Remember, David behaved himself in all his ways.